about woods with big elevation changes. I'm up on a hilltop, kind of like a little ridge, but you can see back in there it gets even steeper. We got some elevation, gentle climb up. Where the fisher came through is down here. You can see his tracks here. We'll try and get a real close look at them. You can see that they have their feet fan out pretty good, but they don't have the most robust feet. And there he is again, and he kind of just hops along, and he goes right up. You can see here, whoop, here, onto the log, and then up, and he just goes right on up through that low spot. So, hey everybody, we're at the set where a few weeks ago I caught a gray fox. It was a nice male gray fox. It's what I call a big hole set, which is just a dirt hole set with a hole that's, you know, at minimum about that big around. I'm going to clean this up. We're going to modify it a little bit to try and catch a fisher, but I also know that the mate to that gray fox is around here. I want to try and get that too. So let me get this thing fixed, and I'll kind of explain what I'm doing. I also have a trail camera on this particular set. I put it there after I caught that gray fox, and I've seen a fisher come through here, and I'll explain why I think this is a good spot here in just a minute. So as you can see, the hole, my dirt hole is right here, and it's very big. It's flashy. This is an old tree stump. I've dug down into it. It's probably about that deep, a foot deep, and I'm gonna bar this all up. I want to get this snow out of here. And if I was just after the fisher and I didn't care about, you know, the cold and stuff, you could do this with your bare hands if you're trapping fishers. Fox and stuff, I like to wear gloves and keep the scent to a minimum, or, you know, within reason. Because I know that there's gray fox in the area, I'm probably going to also I'll probably put another trap nearby for the fox versus this, which I'm going to modify again. It's a big hole set, but I'm going to kind of block it down so that the fisher can't get up on this stump. Okay, a few tools that I have. Of course, I have my trap. I have a shovel, a sifter, and a bucket of peat moss. Peat moss will help keep that trap working in freezing conditions like we have here now. So that's pretty much it. If you're going to target these guys with footholds, it's pretty much essential to have something like this or dry dirt. So I'm going to loosen the bed. Again, I set this opening day. We've caught a couple possums, a gray fox. I think that's it here. A couple possums and a gray fox. This type of set, I use a fairly large trap because of the size of the hole and the working with. If you use a regular sized dirt hole, which you can do in catch fisher, you don't need a big trap. And I caught that gray fox in this trap, and it didn't hurt its foot at all. So I'm gonna bend this thing solid. You don't want, when something steps, like we're gonna use a shovel as an example. You lay your shovel down and you push on the edge of it, that rocks and it moves. You don't, when you're doing this and you're trapping, the thing is you don't want that trap to do any of that. It can't move if it steps over here on the trap. That trap needs to stay as solid as you can possibly get it. It's not probably quite as essential when you're trapping fisher, but because there's fox in this area, there's potentially coyotes. I don't foresee myself taking a coyote at this set. I suppose it could happen. We want to make sure this thing's bedded as solidly as we can. And raccoons, if your trap isn't bedded solidly, if we get a warm night and a raccoon comes through here and that trap rocks, he'll flip it over. He'll dig it out and flip it over. So this, normally I would take a little bit of that peat moss to bed this trap in, but there's already some peat moss in the bed, because this is going to be a modified set that I had in previously. You'll have to excuse me, I'm a little bit stuffed up, so I'm probably not speaking as clearly as I normally would. I'm going to bring you guys closer. I have to drop you down a hair. So you guys can see a little bit better and hopefully maybe hear me a little better. So this trap being a double long spring, they bed solid very easily. I'm gonna have to put a hat on. I don't know. I think I don't have my fisher hat with me today, which is stupid. I should have been wearing that. So I don't like to have so much snow in the bed, but you want this thing, and again, this doesn't have to be pretty, and it's already been tore up because we've made catches here. But at some point, like when a fisher works this, if one decides to work it, he's going to come in here, we're going to block this down, we're going to modify this stump some with some sticks. He's not going to be able to get in there very easily. He's going to have to work it from this way, and at some point we're probably going to nail him. So we're going to open our bucket of peat moss, which it's a good thing I grabbed another bucket. We're going to put some in the sifter. We're going to come in here, fill this in a bit. I like to make this level. a little bit of ice in this, which isn't good. We can, again, excuse me, I'm a little bit stuffed up. My son probably brought something home from daycare. Yeah, so we're just gonna fill that in a bit. I'm gonna use my sifter to really put a light layer of peat moss over top the whole thing. That will help protect it from any rain. And when something that I do, and you'll see if you go to trappers conventions or if you look online, you'll see these little sticks with paw prints on them. I've never used one of them. All I do is I remember where my pan is at, and I take a finger and I just make a little depression right over that pan, about the size of a paw print. It doesn't take much. I gotta move some dirt here, or peat moss. I'm not using dirt. Yeah, just about the size of a paw. And that is usually enough to get a fox. I mean, it worked on that gray fox. Put his hind foot right there. Fox like to put their feet right where other foxes put their feet. I suppose it makes them feel a little safer, but it doesn't work back here sometimes. Again, this isn't a fox set. That's how I would make it if it was just a fox set. I would bait it, lure it, and walk away. But I'm going to get some sticks and modify this. Let's see here. We got our set. As you guys saw me put it together, we got our trap here. We got some large sticks to kind of block this thing down, kind of force them to approach it. we might just bring that in just a hair, block it down just a little bit more, because we have a decent hole there. That's a little better. Real good likelihood of something getting caught in this. We got some meat back there. I took some skunk essence. We got it on this large log here. Good amount. If a fisher comes through, it's going to be really good, I think. And why this location is good for fishers. So we got miles and miles of big woods. Goes a long ways. Got a big field. And this is kind of broken up with fields, all of it. But you see this line of trees that connects that woods to this woods and all of that. So they like to travel right down there through the neighbor's stuff and come right through this. And the wind often goes from this direction to that direction. So you throw some skunk out there, we're gonna have a fisher find this. Probably, I would say a fisher finds it within a week. It's good stuff. And you don't have to worry about human odor with the fishers, but again, there's other stuff around and I want to catch it. So we'll see what happens. Okay guys, so we're still setting fisher traps. This set is a much more typical fisher set for me in Pennsylvania. Let's take a look here real quick. Let me flip the camera. Okay, and you have your trap bed. We're going to put a pretty good sized trap there. This is a couple chunks of wood. with a roof, and it's fairly deep, and we got a big piece of bait back there. We'll put some skunk essence in there with it. We'll put some skunk essence up high here, and if a fisher comes through and finds that, we're going to be in good shape. Okay, so let's get this trap bedded. I've already baited it. I'm going to go back when I take my equipment back. We'll lure it up with some skunk. I'm using a pretty extreme trap at this set because we got some unknown predator set or tracks like some type of either a fox or a coyote investigated this previously, and I don't have fisher tracks here, so I'm going to put a coyote trap in set for fisher, but maybe it'll take a coyote because they've already investigated it. They know that this thing's here. Not that there wasn't even any bait in there. This trap has not made a catch since I bought it, but I know that they're good traps. It's a No BS K9 Extreme Junior, I think is what the model is. But they're a very stout trap. They're very good. I gotta blow some of this snow and ice off here. They're very well made. So we're gonna wolf fang anchor this thing since it's already set up for that. If it don't, we're gonna have to change traps. It's gonna hold. So, why am I setting this spot for fishers? Well, it's not far away from that first location. Maybe only 100 yards. This is a eye-catching spot because it's right next to a big downed cherry tree. And animals tend to check that out. I don't know why. Or maybe they're just looking for a place to hide sometimes. So, we're going to bed this thing. Dig it out, place to put our chain. And we'll just, we want to make sure that these things are bedded solid. It can't move if something steps on that trap. No matter what, that trap cannot be allowed to move. That will screw you over every time. You will miss the fur. And, you know, you can get lucky. I've gotten lucky many, many times here doing this, but you, if you want to catch stuff, make sure that trap's bedded, and you got to set where the animals are. So, yeah, we got our bait. We got our bait about 2 feet back there in that hole. That's good. put our tools away, and I'm going to grab the peat moss, and it's just like the other set. Cover stuff up and wait. All right, everybody. Got another spot we're going to set here on this property, and then we're going to move on to somewhere else. We're in a big stand of hemlocks up maybe 300 or 400 yards away from the crossing area that I set yesterday that I showed you guys. This is a good spot because there's lots of squirrel activity. So we've made a cubby set with some hemlock boughs, and we're going to set it for Fisher with a number 3 double long spring. Which we've already baited this with some muskrat meat, and we hit it with some skunk. We got this anchoring system. We got a drag here. This area is pretty thick, but we'll jam it up into the thing there. I'm not worried about the Fisher running off with it because he's not getting very far. So we're going to chop out our bed for our trap. Loosen this soil up. It is hard to get it to bed solid in this, but this isn't a coyote set or anything. This is just for Fisher, so we're gonna get it as solid as we can, but we're not gonna freak out if it's not rock solid. Let's get this trap opened up, get her set. Oop. I just moved this trap. It was out in the field as a flat set. Okay. I moved it, and when you do that, sometimes you get some ice buildup on it, and it can be hard to get it reset, but that set wasn't getting any attention, and we need to get some Fisher traps out, so I just moved this thing. If you guys are still switching traps out when you catch something, like a fox or a coyote or whatever, you can take those dirty traps and reset them for Fisher before you have to retreat them again. If that's what you're doing, I don't really mess around with any of that. I just reset the trap right where I caught the animal. Used to mess around with a new trap, but I don't do that. Okay. So that's bedded pretty solid. We're going to get our peat moss in there, and we're going to move on to the next location once I get some of my traps that are not producing pulled. I had a set fixed up, and I don't believe it, but we caught a red. Another red. Very good. He's got this shit all tore to hell. Good deep pad catch. Nice red. Pretty well furred. Good stuff. Little bonus when we're out here looking for Fishers, it's a good time to look for fox. Obviously, since that catch we saw. We're at a new location I haven't set yet this year, and we got fox tracks in here, crazy. Just a moment. There's a fox moving through here, and I was already checking this out, but we got old sets. That might be one, maybe. Those old impressions, those are fox. So they're here. We're going to double up sets on these guys. I was only going to put one in till I got back here. There's two trails right there running together. So there's like 3 different sets, or at least one fox was in here 3 different times since the snow. We got one set in. Bigger dirt hole. This could take a fisher, but talking about fishers, this big drainage. Got some hemlocks on the other side here. Probably going to go down in there and make a cubby. I know they're here. And then we're going to go down the road a little ways and set up in a good spot. This is an okay spot. But these drainages, it doesn't take much. There's a little elevation change here. We got the hemlocks over there, which surely hold red squirrels. One should come through during season. Pans right here. Bait will be back in that hole. A little bit of skunk. And we'll wait. Okay, so our double fox sets up here. We're down in the bottom where this creek comes through. Haven't seen any fisher tracks. I know they travel this occasionally. Got a hemlock there. There's a big stand of hemlocks over in here. There's scattered down through here. But there's lots of mice. The mice, a lot of times they'll use these bank edges, the undercut banks, to hide and travel. We got a cubby. What we're gonna do is we're gonna dig a hole back in here, throw a piece of liver in there. We're gonna put our trap probably right out in here in the center here, and hopefully, I mean, we can get some skunk up on this stick here. Hopefully a fisher finds it. We'll see what happens, but the law in Pennsylvania is the bait cannot be visible from the air. So we got our big cubby. We're going to dig a hole in case the snow melts or we lose some leaves, so it's nice and legal. Well, we missed a fisher. We got tracks here, and he just kind of runs off that way. Let's double check and make sure these are, yeah, they're fisher tracks. We missed them, but he'll be back through. We'll get him next time. This is one of my favorite spots. You got a pretty big elevation change right here, and it flattens off. Then it goes up into a bunch of farmland up in there. But we got this creek coming off of a beaver dam that runs right down through here, and it's a good mink spot too. But we got all these hemlocks and stuff, and this kind of connects two big squares. There's a big square of woods over here. This is a good channel for these fisher to move through. They'll come off of this high area and come down through here, across the creek and over, and then they'll run it this way as well. It's just a really good spot. I'm not the only guy in here. I'm not going to show you the other guy's set. We don't want to broadcast that. We're going to get out of here. But I just wanted to show you guys. This is a really good location. And if you know what you're doing, it's an obvious location. And there's more than one guy here. So hopefully somebody gets one. I see lots of fisher tracks in here.